Alright guys, I bought this CBEA engine. They say A because that's the horsepower. It's actually a CBE. If you look at your number, it normally says CBE, and then the A is what you'll see in a lot of places. Is actually the horsepower. So the CJA is actually the same engine. The CJAA, as you'll see a lot of places, is the same engine, except for almost a couple of different things, a couple of small things. One of them is the oil pump system. On these, they have this terrible balance shaft thing. And just so you know, if you haven't had this problem yet, I hope you probably haven't, and you might want to fix it ahead of time. This hex shaft goes out, and on this one here, it's not gone out yet. It's really kind of worn, but it's still pretty good. So I caught it ahead of time. This is the engine I bought used, okay? Because mine, actually, that hex shaft went out. I was going to put a CJA in it, which I would highly recommend. If you can find a CJA, that's probably the way to go, because then you don't have to do this job. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the oil pump conversion kit. They have these on JETTA TDI website. You can buy it. It's like $300 and something. It has a lot of Volkswagen parts in it. Let's look at it. What it does, it converts it to a chain system, which is very similar to what's in the CJA. It's not a CJA pump. It's not CJA, all CJA parts. It's a bunch of different conglomeration of different parts from different years. You can look on their website. It'll tell you more about that. It comes with a Volkswagen stamped gear. Victorians factory, I believe. Seal for the front seal. This is the, I don't know what brand that is. Could be German. I wouldn't doubt that it is. Made in Europe, EU, European Union. So it's probably like Czechoslovakian or something like that. One of those people make that kind of stuff. Cool. This is the, I'm not sure what that is. Look at it, see. It's a vintage tray, I guess from an earlier year. Comes with that. Comes with all the bolts. TTY bolts, torque to yield. No ring. Still don't know what that is. Tensioner? No, doesn't feel like it. Oh, pickup tube. The pickup tube, I don't know if that's aftermarket maybe. Doesn't really matter on that, does it? I don't think so. It does not come with the timing tools. I have my own. It comes with a, let's see, looks like German, made in German, name of Germany tensioner. And I don't know if it comes with a plug, but there's a hole that you have to plug off on it. And I believe it comes with instructions. Haven't gotten there yet. I'm about to go there pretty soon. Comes with the oil pump. Right here. And we'll just take it for granted that that's in there. Generic Chinese box maybe. Don't know on that. But it's probably good quality. JETTA TDI sells good stuff. And then I believe these are the instructions. That's actually for when I was trying to fix the pump on the other one. I believe it does come with instructions as well. And that converts it over to a chain style pump. Now, this kit, guys are saying more than 300,000 miles. They've got out of their engine with this with no issues. Mine went out at a 260. So if you've got less than 260,000 miles, I mean, mine was a lot of highway miles too. So if you got less than 200,000 miles on your CBE, really want to take a look at doing this before you drive it much further. It's catastrophic to the turbo for sure. More than likely catastrophic to the engine if you drive it at all with that oil light on, because the oil light will just go on. And then once it does that, it's definitely the turbo is going to go. I mean, it would take a miracle for the turbo not to go. That's the first thing to go. It's spinning up to 100,000 RPMs. And if it gets no oil in there, that's it for that. So it's a little bit easier to do this out of the car, a little bit easier to videotape it, so I figured I would. To get this gear off, it is a pressed on gear. And normally it's kind of like if you're deal with an old Volkswagen. The old Volkswagens, we used to pick the gear in like a tub of oil or heat it up on a hot plate and then slide it on, and it goes right on when you do that. And as soon as it cools, it comes back off. That's kind of what the theory I've got from a couple of forums I was reading on it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to attempt to, and I don't know if I'll get this on video, probably not, because it's going to be a little bit tough. But I'm going to go ahead and use a torch, and I'm going to heat up this portion of the gear. I don't want to blow through those holes. I want to just heat up just that. So I'm going to use a oxyacetylene torch, which I highly recommend using that, versus if you use a propane torch, it might work. I mean, I'm not going to say it won't, but you want to heat this up without getting the bearing too hot. If the bearing gets too hot, you'll have it melt, and that won't be good. So I'm going to go ahead and just try and heat this up. Some guys will take it apart and check that bearing afterwards. I may not, because if you take these off here, then your torque to yield bolts, you're going to have to replace them. Just keep that in mind. So I don't know if there's any in that kit. Let's look and see. Actually, that might be what these are right here. We'll find out later in this video what those are. I believe these might be the main cap bolts. They don't. Let's look at them real close. One of the things I checked on this is to make sure that there was no metal shavings in the pan. There was none. So that's telling me good news. More than likely the bottom end's okay on this one. If yours has metal shavings in it, you might want to go ahead and look at getting another engine like I am. Mine's not. Mine didn't have metal shavings in it either. My engine didn't. This is a different engine, but I got a good deal on an engine, and I was having some DSG issues, so I went ahead and got an engine trans for like $1,200. So taking a chance here, you know, putting a lot of money in it, so I hope it works. You know, it's always like to put new parts on, but you know, this would be very expensive to buy new. Alright, this sucker was not coming off with heat. Some of the guys watching another video, the guy said, hey, just heated it up and I got the gear off, no problem on this thing. No way. I was prying on it for a while, heat, and that was not going to do it by itself with pry bars. Of course, I probably screwed up this gear. This gear is not going to go back on here, so it doesn't really matter much to me. But anyway, it's off. Let's get this thing off of here. It was like really tight on there. I mean, some of them I guess are less tight than that, but I don't see any melties from the bearing. But I had to get it pretty hot. Even doing it this way, what I did is I used a 12mm 1.5 tap. It just went right in the hole. Yeah, which is a fine thread 12mm. So you have to probably buy some bolts. And I just threaded them down and used the threads to push the bearing off. So, well, you know, did it do any damage? I don't think so. But it was the only way I could figure to do it. They do have a puller for this. I can guarantee you that this thing was not going to come off that puller. It was going to break the puller, try and get it off. No way. This thing was really, really tight. I'd have to get it hot with a torch and use the puller. And I don't think the puller that they make, there's a way to get a torch on it. While you're doing that, it looks like it has like a solid piece that goes over it. So even with the factory puller, I don't know if it would have worked on this one. Some of the guys use a gear puller to get it off. I looked on forums. They said they use like a standard steering wheel puller. The problem is with my steering wheel puller, the bolt sizes I needed to put on there, because I threaded it, were too large. Some guys will take like a smaller bolt, like a 10mm, and then they would cut like the head of the bolt into like an L shape and flatten it. But I don't think this thing would have come off with that. It was on there really, really tight. Had to get it pretty red hot to get it off. So again, I don't think I damaged the bearings. Looks fine. I don't see any melties. So take a look for yourselves. It's just a thought of how to get it off. Is it the right way? No, you know, the puller, like I said, probably wasn't going to work either. So anyway, put on the new one. Normally how they're done is people get them hot with a torch or put it on a hot plate, and then it looks like it has two different ways to go on. Other engines I've worked on, usually this tapered side goes in like that. I think it does matter. So, I don't know. Have to look into that, I guess. But normally it would go on this way. I'm sure that's how it has to go on. Because then this gear here goes on the pump. And the chain needs to line up with it. So maybe I'll put the pump on first. I don't know. And then put this all together at once and kind of look at it and see. I'm not sure how that goes. But anyway, it would be kind of nice to know that, right? But anyway, I'll just get this going. If I see anything else, I'll bring you guys back in a minute. Alright, so I got this sprocket on. I just heated it up. Pretty warm, pretty hot, and it just slid right over that, no problem. Wasn't quite like the one coming off. And then I got this thing right here. See the outside one, the inside one's threaded, okay? That's the bolt that holds it on. The one that's next to it is the oil pressure return or whatever it is. I don't know, it goes a supply to the, actually it's a supply to the whole balance shaft assembly. And I got that plugged up. I just used a say use a 5/16. You can use a 5/16, or if you mess up, I messed up and actually accidentally tapped it with a 9mm, and then I went ahead and tapped it again with a 3/8. And then I bought one of these little hex plugs. Had them over at the hardware store I went to. So I just put a hex plug in there. The pan gasket's way over here, so you could put a regular bolt on there, as far as I can tell. Hopefully I got that in frame for you. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start. I'm going to put this thing back up on the lift here, and then I'm going to do the rest upside down, because I don't want to crack the vintage tray when I tip the thing back up. More than likely that'll happen, or I'll bend the pickup or something like that. So I'm going to hang it. I could put it on the engine stand, but I don't know. I'm going to just hang it and do it. It's not that much to do. So anyway, I'll bring it back up in the air and we'll take a look at it. I used my Harbor Freight Tools seal kit. You can use a socket if you want. Hammer the new seal in very carefully. Take the old one out. There's the old one. Got it back in exactly the same place. Make sure it's perfectly straight. Not a little bit off. Sometimes they'll leak. So make sure you do a good job putting that in. Alright. So this is a new oil pump. It has the wrong size gear on it. Needs to be replaced. I guess this is for the BRM maybe. And you're going to change it to CJA1 from what I understand. I don't know for sure, but that's what I think it is. So, but I'm going to first, before I put this on, I'm going to put this on, then counter hold it with something, and then take it off. Put the other one on, torque it. And before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of oil in here. The reason I do that is because it helps to get a little bit of oil in those gears, helps to get that first little bit of oil to pick up faster. So it's just my little thing. Just kind of a mechanics 101. Get a little oil in there, make sure everything's really clean. Yeah, it looks like everything's really dirty that I'm using, but when I got brake spray over there, I'm cleaning everything really clean before I put it in. So it looks to me like everything goes like that. That's how I'm doing it. And what I did on the bolts is I put a little bit of, some guys use blue Loctite, but I use this. Just regular Mega Black. It works just a little bit. Don't want it to squeeze out. Just enough just to coat those threads so that the bolts, when they get in and they're tight, they won't come loose with this stuff on them. That's what happens with me. You can do it however you want, but that's what I do. Blue Loctite also works as well. I put the O-ring on this guy here, a little bit of oil on it. Here's how the vintage tray goes on. It has like one that goes on here, and it kind of has a little guide pin in this hole. Sits on there like that, just a little plastic tray. Alright, well, everything's got to be torqued. Make sure you look up your torque specs for all this stuff. There's ones for this, I don't know, I think there's one for that. I'm going to go get them right now for myself. I don't post those. I'll let you guys look them up for yourself, because if you break a bolt, I don't want to hear about it. Or if it falls out, something like that, it's all on you, man. In fact, the whole video is all on you. If you don't want to use my method, or you want to learn from it, that's fine. If you take at your own risk, everything you do. So anyway, this is just my opinion, how I'm doing it on my car. So okay, I'm going to get this all cleaned up. Get all the, there's just not much dirt in here or anything. I kept it pretty clean. I'm just going to clean this all up. I'm going to make sure I lubricate the seal. A little bit of oil on my finger, wipe it on that seal. Wipe it on this surface so that I don't damage it getting it on, and it doesn't damage it when it makes that first turn. There's a little bit of oil on that seal. It helps it so that it doesn't get wiped out for the first few revolutions until the oil gets all over everything, which it will very quickly. But we want to make sure it doesn't damage that seal. Well, I got it all together. So I just got the pan on. I just used a little bit of this here Mega Black. Just checked those 2 bolts for the main cap, but I'm certain this engine was good. It had low miles on it, and I could see that the oil pump had not spun. So I use this stuff here. Those 2 bolts though, they come with it right here. These are for the main caps to replace them. Supposed to be OEM bolts, but I don't know. They look a little different than the ones that are on there, so I didn't particularly want to take it off there if it isn't. If I know certainly it's not bad, so I'm pretty certain it isn't. If it is, then probably the turbo is bad too, and bad news, I'll probably just get another used engine. If I do that, I'll probably get a CJEA. So anyway, that's it for this portion of the video. It should be fine. I can't do a run after because I'm actually doing other things to this engine. Come back for the other video that I'm going to do on the CP4 conversion. This engine's getting a CP4 right here. This fuel pump is going to get replaced with a CP4 or CP3. Sorry, it's getting, the CP4 is going. A CP3 is getting put on it. There's a conversion kit coming. I ordered it from Romania, someplace guy over there. It's been taking a long time. If you order from that guy on eBay, it is going to take a while, a good solid month and a half maybe to get it. So I haven't got it yet, so I expect it pretty soon. So I'm going to go ahead and start prepping this. I'm going to do the water pump on it, and I'm going to do the water pump, timing belt, all the chain tensioners and all that at the same time. So I have a brand new engine that's all got the right stuff on it, and I put it in it, so it'll be like putting a CJA engine in it. That's what I'm trying to do, so I eliminate some of the issues with the CBE that it's had with the oil pump, and also the HPFP. High pressure fuel pump is an issue with this, with all 2.0 TDIs. When it goes out, it costs about $9 grand if you have it done at the dealer to have all that stuff replaced. But there is a fix for it. If you put in the CP3 pump instead of the CP4, it's pretty much a permanent deal. Probably will never have to replace it again, and it'll probably last. The rest of the engine and everything else will probably last as many miles as you can stand the car. And so long as you can look at the old paint and everything else, it'll probably keep going. Alright, I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Please like, share, and subscribe.